Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, what's going on in our country, but how we're going to fix both of them together. And the content that I've got for you is that magic moment. The moment when Kamala Harris's campaign started going like this, sputtering, and then started the nosedive of unprecedented proportions. Everything that I'm about to show you is coming from one of the leading pollsters in the nation, the moment when it turned, because that is a very important part of the conversation because the downfall is continuing. Everything will be linked in the description box below. I can't wait to hear what you guys think in the comments field. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on because we are spreading freedom from coast to coast, border to border. And thank you so much in advance for consideration for doing just that. And speaking of consideration, guys, I really want you to consider USCCA to protect yourself from red flag laws. I'm just going to call it as it is. We have a system that is being put in place in blue states that are all about infringing upon your gun rights without getting due process, without facing your accuser, and they take your rights and you're assumed guilty until you prove that you're innocent. Doing that alone is going to be very difficult. Please take a second, link in the description box below, and just learn about your options and what USCCA can do for you to prevent that from happening the exact same way that it happened to countless others. There's a link in the description box below. I hate red flag laws with every fiber of my being, and I'm glad that USCCA is doing something to prevent you from falling victim to that practice. And with that said, link in the description. Let's get into this because it is Friday. Let me show you. This is something you are not going to see in many places. This is the exact moment, and even Frank Luntz, who is not a fan of Trump from all of his work, says she's imploding. Okay? Let's get into this. Caveat, of course, you got to vote. Everyone vote. Friend, family, everyone vote. Does not happen without you voting. We got it. We got it. Good. Okay, let's hit it. Let me show you what Frank is saying. This is a very important point.
What do you think is most likely motivating independents in this, Frank, and why we saw a bump for Harris when she came in, and why there's some attrition in that margin for her, especially in the states that matter, actually losing it in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, at least for the moment? Do you think this is a consistent vibe for independents in cycles past of national security? What keeps me safest?
I'm just going to leave that there for a second. So understand what he's referencing right there. Trump up 4% in Pennsylvania, Trump up 3% in Wisconsin, and 2% for Harris in Michigan. Guys, that means she loses. Just letting you know, that right there means she loses. Whoever takes independence is going to win. Okay, that's the way it's always been. I even showed you Harry Enton's reporting and polling that says only 3 times in the history of the United States has a independent person who has lost or won the independent lost the election. 3 times. Okay, 15 times they've won. We've covered it on previous episodes. But understand what he's asking. It's all about independence. Okay, Trump is winning independence, which means Harris is losing the independence. You have to understand how important these tiny little margins are, which is why we focus so heavily on the demographic reports, on the different polling that's coming from these areas, all the little buckets that make up the electorate. That's what we're talking about. Okay, now as I go into this, understand that Frank is not trying to be one way or the other, but he's about to say how she's pitfalling, how she is falling off of a cliff for a very specific reason. Let's get it.
Actually, I don't. I think that Harris did one of the best launches of any campaign I've ever seen, and I'm old. That her optimism, her enthusiasm, the contradiction, or the contrast, I should say, between the negativity before she was in the race and this intensity of positivity that she brought to the race completely remade American politics as we know it. No. And as long as she stayed positive, which was through the convention, she continued to add to her support week after week, day after day. And the moment that she started to do the Donald Trump, the moment that she started to attack, to try to find the language, to embarrass him, to criticize him, she stopped focusing on herself. She started focusing on Donald Trump. And that's when she froze. You can look at the numbers. You can correlate it directly. The moment that she became Trump is the moment she hit her peak, and she's been falling ever since.
All right, this is a really important point. I'm going to hit 2 things here, and if you see nothing else in this video, this is the part you need to share out. She didn't pull a Trump. Frank Luntz is deciding that Trump is the one that injected divisive politics into the United States. It was Obama. Obama is the one who started that game. Destroy the opponent, and therefore you're the only alternative left. I was there. I was alive. That was Barack Obama in the Democratic ticket in 2008 and again in 2012. You have to understand, they are trying to say Trump started all the divisive nature. Obama started it. And now to the next point, and this is the key crucial point. We are at a point in our nation where we're going to start pivoting. You can mark this down. We're going to pivot away from the ultra uber negativity, and we're going to start pivoting towards the middle. We are at a fever pitch point now where you've got so much extreme on one side, so much extreme on the other. Everyone says enough with the stupidity and the chaos. Let's center a little bit. We can't go on like this. What he's referencing is just that. Now, I don't think that Harris was the solution at all. I think Harris was a far left, or is a far left, leftist, socialist, extreme liberal, control tyrant. Okay? But what he's describing is the thirst in the electorate for moving forward without a tremendous amount of conflict. What do we say on this channel all the time? We're not just going to tell you what's going on in the gun world and our country, but we're also going to talk about how we fix it together. It is one thing to point out problems, a very important piece of the solution, but you cannot do it without the solution, or else you're just bitching. That's what he's referencing. That's why we've done on our channel that exact same focal point across Katie's channel, my channel, Stone Second Sense, Second Legacy with me and Tim from Military Arms. All of it is oriented towards the next phase of this, moving forward with our rights. That's what he's talking about. He's not just talking about, oh, she came in with so much positivity and she was the great solution. No. What he's talking about is the response from the electorate that's tired of the conflict and the divisive nature of our politics. Moving forward with our rights is going to be the next phase of this. But let's continue. That was the really key point. Let's keep going, though.
A small amount.
And we both know why. We both know why, because we've been in those rooms, right? You get, this group of people around, right? They get complete groupthink. They're all in their bubble. And they know that the best way to win is to make the other guy lose. And you become obsessed with the negative, and all the ad buys go heavy negative. And you see the movement in the metered markets in those different places you're targeting move on the negative ads more than the proof of proposition or the positive ads. And that's when they lock it in.
Yeah, and the point right now is the public is saying enough. All caps with an exclamation. And she got that when she entered. And that's why she exceeded anyone's expectations. I now look at the campaign. She's going to be doing the town hall. And I wonder how specific she's going to get. Is she going to acknowledge that she hasn't answered the questions that voters are asking? Is she going to acknowledge that immigration got worse under Joe Biden? Is she going to acknowledge that she has a different point of view, a slightly different agenda? If she comes clean, if she's genuine and authentic, she has the advantage. But as long as she comes across as a typical politician, she will lose. Donald Trump says them.
Hold on. Time out. Flag on the play. He just said, as long as she comes across unauthentic and does not own up to the issues, she will lose. Understand, this entire election is a referendum on Biden and his policies and his vice president, i.e. Harris. If she does not own it, she will lose. Guess what she's not doing? She's not owning it. She's going down the road of divisive attacks. Guys, I'm telling you, we have the benefit on this channel of merging what's going on in our gun rights and our Second Amendment rights and being experts on that, but also being very good at the politics and diving it together into one big freedom quest. What we're seeing right now is the electorate turning towards freedom and away from the divisive nature of our politics. That's what she's talking about, or excuse me, what he's talking about. Now, Kamala Harris didn't come in as this amazing policy and of positivity. What she came in was the high school cheerleader being cheered on by her friends in the media, so of course it was glowing. It started going downhill when she turned negative and had no substance. Now, Frank can't say that because he's trying to be as objective as possible while still hating Trump. But you have to see what this is. This is not what it's being framed as. They're over the target, but they are not landing the plane. Let me show you one more thing, and then we'll wrap this.
Most awful stuff. It is horrible.
Yep.
And those of us who want a more civil, more decent campaign, we quiver, and not quiver. We shake when we listen to him.
That is quivering.
But he's not going to lose a single vote by what he's saying. The only people
It's
who are
true.
still left are Harris voters, and whether or not they commit to her is going to depend on whether she comes clean, whether she's candid and authentic, and right now that's not clear.
Even though she's the incumbent and there's usually an advantage in that, she has the harder challenge. She's not just running against a man, she's running against a movement of grievance, and a lot of it happened on her watch. And that's tough. It's a higher bar for her, no question about it. Frank Luntz,
It is quite literally that simple. And I want to hit on one more thing. If you stick around or stuck around to the end of this video, you get this little Easter egg. What Chris Cuomo just alluded to about negativity and the negative ad buys, that applies to content creation as well. And one of the things that I do on this channel, as hard as I can, I really try to focus on providing an alternative, providing a positive way forward to pass our rights on to the next generation. I don't do clickbait. I try very, very hard to keep the content exactly as described in the thumbnails. Yeah, sometimes that might not go viral. Yeah, sometimes that might not go to the point where a negative ad or a clickbait title would send you. And I'm not targeting anybody on that. I'm just saying in general, right? It happens across the entire spectrum. But you have to be able to keep your focus on target, stay over the target, fly the plane, drop the ordnance, and land the plane, all while still representing what's going on. And if you can do it in a positive nature for our rights to send to the next generation, you've done something special. And that's what we try to do every single day. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.